State the obvious. I've traveled through dimensions, communed with otherworldly beings, visited different time periods, read various book galleries, magazines, articles, and minds, had psychic talks with mystics, unlocked info stored in my genetics, studied nature, sat under trees, listened to rivers, talked with birds, been stung by bees and other animals, all to bring this information. Welcome to State the Obvious with Surveillance. Welcome to State the Obvious. This is my first episode. I'm a man of many hats. Today I am Surveillance, and I'm bringing what I'm calling obvious to you because what some people call common sense is actually a precious metal. So maybe you find some value in it, maybe you don't, but I won't take too much of your time. My mind is usually in outer space, or it feels that way for me sometimes. So I'm going to bring to you what I'm going to call my orbital observations. You know what I mean? Orbital observations, perpetual motion, habitual perspective, and maybe from moment to moment I can bring momentum to some of my thoughts, get them out of my head. You know what I mean? It's a multi-purpose endeavor for me. You know what I'm saying? One of my goals would be to help you maintain peace of mind while I help myself maintain peace of mind. If it's ways of thinking and looking at things, perspectives that help me gain peace, add clarity to my life, allow me to experience life in a more smooth manner, and maybe it'll help you as well. And then in addition to that, there's other work that I want to do. I sat down today and did some pre-production work on some projects that I'm working on, and as I'm writing things out, I'm going back to establishing thoughts, establishing ideas beforehand. So that's part of this process too, that I can establish kind of a foundation of the way I think and see things, so that if there's any interesting projects that I bring to you in the future, then you already have an understanding of kind of the basis of what my thought process is. And if you join me on this journey, then you have an opportunity to we'll share that thought process as well. So that it is. So for today, my first obvious statement to bring to you is that we're still developing systems, right? That should seem obvious, but it's also something to easily overlook, right? We are still developing systems. For me, a lot of times I want to be anti-system. Oh, this don't work right. This ain't right. This ain't how it's supposed to be. And then you can blame the system because, it's an obscure blame, right? It's easy to blame the system because you don't have to hold any particular person accountable, and you don't have to hold yourself accountable, right? But the reality to me, I think, is that the systems need to be improved, right? That a lot of the things that we call systems, and they have a certain kind of authority in our lives because we give them that, right? And we give them that because they have the ambiance of permanence. You know what I'm saying? They've been here. The system has been here, but the system hasn't been here. You know what I mean? A lot of systems are new, and they're still being developed, and they're still being kind of molded by people, and those people could be you, it could be me. In a lot of ways, it probably already is you and me together molding systems into what they are. So the level of critical engagement that we have with the systems as they are and changing them into what we want them to be, it might determine our level of happiness and our ability to assimilate with it, as opposed to completely reject it or revolt against it or whatever. You know what I mean? So there has to be a system in place to orchestrate things, and it usually a good system makes things go well. A bad system, makes things go poorly. So I could point out like product reviews on the internet. You know what I mean? Like when I see product reviews, I see people, crowdsourcing of information that's happening from a corporate or a technological standpoint, right? Companies are, to an extent, could be getting over in a way, like when they crowdsource ideas instead of actually investing in research and development, right? But some people are getting paid for it, and some people are getting free products, and there's the benefit of getting a better product, right? So each time a product has a iteration that comes out, a new version, it gets a little bit better. The product, some of the quality gets better, some of the little intricacies get improved upon, and that's the same thing that can happen through broader systems, especially when you're talking about government, when you're talking about social systems, when you're talking about the way corporations that operate, especially like national or multinational corporations, kind of operate in a way that have an effect on our life, sometimes even more so than the government, or and then government is broad, so you got education, all of that, right? So all of these are systems that can be improved, that have components, that have parts that need to be addressed, right? And especially if you're a person that's dissatisfied with the system, your input is that much more necessary as opposed to someone for whom the system is already working correctly, right? So, if you're one of those people that the system as you see it is working well for you, don't be so afraid of the changes that other people are suggesting, because it might not be changing it in a way that's going to make it more difficult for you. It might be changing it in a way that's going to make it even better for you. But really, I'm talking to the revolters, the revolutionaries, I'm saying people people I deem like myself, that have a well of frustration sometimes when you look at things that we call the system, right? You know what I mean? So that's a shout out to y'all, shout out to myself. Reminder, systems are still being developed, right? And the critical engagement with systemic function, as opposed to the roles that, like, the people that are fulfilling specific roles, like people have, there's a term, you know what I mean? Well, especially when you're talking about politics, there's so much, fervor right now about President Trump, because of his persona, and every time I see coverage, just a lot of back and forth about like his personality, etc., and less towards the actual critical engagement with the systemic function, right? Of like, the system should be foolproof. You know what I'm saying? It should be foolproof, in the sense of, not that the car should be on autopilot, or in my opinion, I don't think that it should be just a car on autopilot that can't be steered or can't be controlled manually, but it shouldn't be so easily derailed that, it can't be, not the best driver behind the wheel, or somebody that doesn't have great night vision or whatever. All kinds of people on the road. So what can we do? What do we implement in the cars? Whether it's the little beeping sensors, beep, boop, 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 oh, it's going off track, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But these are all things that develop over time, right? So, boom, we are still developing systems. And just in that thought, something obvious, right? Another obvious statement, because this is the obvious, right? Feet, our feet, humans, they came out millions of years ago. Feet came out millions of years ago. But sneakers just came out in the last couple hundred, no, not couple hundred years, the last 100 years, probably the last several decades, sneakers first came out, and they still getting better, they're still getting changed, you know what I'm saying? I'm just now 30-some years old wearing the first most comfortable pair of sneakers I ever had. You know, well, not right now, I'm wearing socks, but still. This year I got the most comfortable pair of sneakers I ever had. So that just goes to show, like, things are still developing, right? Things are still developing. So with that, there's also when you do make a suggestion for change, another obvious thing is that it's not necessarily going to get implemented as quickly as you probably would like. Or for me, right? That's something I have to remind myself sometimes. Oh, just because I suggest a change, or I see something that could be better, or I see improvement that is there, I have to be patient with the implementation of it, right? Especially when I'm talking about something that's macro or something that occurs on a broad level. When I'm talking about change in my own self, my own specific life, there's that other thing, like, all right, you know, it's only so long you're going to wait or put yourself in a situation that's not congruous for what you want, or that's not putting you towards your goals. So I'm not suggesting that at all. I suggest the opposite. Be true to yourself and know yourself. But, you know, just be aware that the broader the change, the bigger it is, you know, it might be that much more frustrating for you because you interact with it on a consistent basis. If we're talking about the government, we're talking about stuff like that. But the amount of time that it takes to change certain things, especially kind of the way people think, right? I think the way people behave can change very quickly. I have a couple examples of that I'll share in a second. But yeah, so behaviors can change very quickly, but thought processes and the way people approach ideas tends, in my observation, you know what I'm saying, my habitual observation from, you know, space brained, is that it takes a while for people to change that, right? And what's the example that I would point to for that is that, look at smartphones. You know what I mean? Smartphones, the invention of smartphones, the technology for that, like I said, sneakers, an easy pass, right? Easy pass. A highway system is one of those infrastructure things. Like, it takes so long to get new roads built, new routes designed, you know what I mean? So when you talk about new highways being built, new on-ramp systems, all of that, like, Easy Pass came and changed tolls so fast, you know what I mean? Like, relative to something that's such a broad change. I don't know if anybody, well, I do know. I know that a lot of people besides myself have experienced the frustration of your Maps app sending you on an Easy Pass only exit or entrance from the highway, and then you gotta pay that, you know, $50 ticket or whatever it is, because there's a road that's been created geared only towards that system, right? Or somebody has created a kind of a gateway to make some money off of it, which is another complaint about that system. But in any case, it still is an example that things can change, right? So, yeah, boom. But the way people think about moving, the way the city or state thinks about, you know, hitting your pockets for that toll, that hasn't changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, yeah, the behavior, or, you know, the method of the behavior is more easily changed than the thought process behind, okay, yeah, get on the highway. But that's still, you know, for me, I'm using it as a positive example of how, you know, things can be shifted. And, you know, so another obvious thing, smartphones coming out every year. The iPhone came out, oh wow, one of the greatest phones ever. And every year they coming out with a new one. What are they improve? Like, what are they going to do next time? You know, every time they drop a new joint, the question is, what are they about to add to this? But the beautiful thing that it suggests to me is, what version of yourself are you on? Or what version of myself am I on? I can ask that, right? Am I updating my software? Am I updating the firmware? Did I update my casing? You know what I'm saying? And what do I look at that? Am I eating right? Am I exercising? What's my diet? How am I thinking? Am I reading books? Am I, you know what I mean? Like, what am I enriching? What are the apps that I'm installing in my brain? And, you know, so all of that. Am I clearing out my cookies? Am I clearing my cache? Am I, you know what I mean, updating my passwords? All of that, right? It's just a reminder of progress, right? Progress. But things are still being developed, and things that are deemed to be at the pinnacle of their function at some point, there is a continuous need to develop them. Oh, things are getting faster. Needs a new chip, you know what I mean? They need more space, more access to this, more access to that, more input is coming in. So, yeah. Let me look at the board. I got a little board over here with my outline. Yeah, I think that's enough for that. I'm gonna keep it succinct. Those are a couple things, you know. Again, it's to state the obvious. Ali, aka Surveillance, aka Feng Shuizi, aka, you know, holla at your boy.
How do they work? The code is hidden in tumblers. One position opens a lock, and another position opens one of these doors. Are you a programmer? Then what are you?